Hello fellow modelers! In today's video, let's build the most advanced Sherman, exactly Super Sherman with a mighty 105mm cannon. I purchased 3D model from Cult 3D, but it had a mess in the mesh, so I spent some time in the blender and modified the model for 72 scale print. I separated tantracks and wheels for easier painting. The disadvantage is that the assembling is now more complex, but I cannot have a model only with 5 parts. So this is the result. As a bonus, I purchased the water slide decals. I printed all the parts on my Prusa SL1 resin printer. I manually made the supports and tried to save the most of the details, but cleaning them all will take some time. I am removing supports near details carefully with the side cutters, because they sometimes make holes after removing or taking too much material around, or damaging the whole parts. I like the muzzle brake details, it is probably the best part of this kit. The front layers are quite visible due to model orientation, however I can easily remove them with a soft layer of a printing resin. Applying it with a paintbrush is easy, and the applied layer is nicely smooth. Now it only remains to cure the resin with a UV light. I do not break supports manually, and rather cut them out. The model orientation is important, and it's good to have this mess after supports from the backside. And I use a Proxon Micro engraver for cleaning. You can see that the details from the backside are not sharp, thus I printed new replacement parts and removed old ones. I made holes for the wheels, but I failed to calculate the proper resin print deviation, so now I must make the holes larger with a milling cutter. I am gluing resin with an ordinary super glue. This type of Sherman is available as a kit only in 35 scale, so if you want it in 72 scale you do not have many other options than printing it. It is excellent model and has lovely details. I made mock-up test with the tantracks. The fitting seems without problems, so I can comfortably paint the tantracks separately and glue them in the end. The printed model has a smooth resolution, but even so it has visible layers, so it is good to unify the model with 2 layers of a primer. There are imperfections like residual resin on the edges or dust particles on the surface. I wouldn't say I like browning gun barrel, so I replaced it with a more detailed one. I also printed large reflector, which is located between gun barrel and the turret. It was impractical for combat, so it was mostly removed. I do not have a proper Israeli paint shade, so I mixed yellow and green Tamiya acrylic paints. It is only a base dark shade. The paint shade differs in each historical photo, so choosing one took some effort. The Super Sherman was used in many conflicts, thus you can also mix darker green shade. I also mixed the second shade for highlights from yellow and green, but lighter. I am painting small details with acrylic water-based paints, because they are great for paintbrushes. You often ask what paintbrushes I use. It is a difficult question, because I have many brands. However, I prefer and I can recommend Da Vinci Kolinsky Red Sable. Good life hack is to place small parts on masking tape, the spraying is more comfortable. Or you can use a wooden toothpick and stick the parts on it with a poster gum. I have decals for gun barrel, but it is better to use masking tape and spray white strips separately. However, I use decals for identification arrow and registration number. The tan tracks have a nice details. I am painting them slightly rusty and dirty with a highly diluted paints. When the paint is fresh, you can make a nice shading and the result is smooth. The small dots make the texture even less uniform. Now I'm painting dust. The effect looks strong when the paint is wet, but after drying not so much, so you can repeat the whole process a few times to achieve a realistic effect. Toothpick can make us soft scratches, because the acrylic paint is not very resilient. The interside is abraded and polished from the wheels. I like shiny metallic effect that you can achieve with a graphite powder. And more steel scratches on the other side. I prefer silver paint instead of a powder, because it's more resilient. And with this step the tracks are done, so let's finish the rest of the model. I want the details and tongue shapes more pronounced, and great for that are oil paints, but you can also use acrylic paints with a little bit of water or enamel paints. The advantage of acrylic and enamel paints is drying time. I made shading. The next step is highlighting. I'm painting raised parts with a light sand paint. It will bring more depth. I cannot forget add some weathering effect, like soft scratches, which can make the model less cartoonish. I must buy a new soft paintbrush, because this one is quite jagged after years. However, it is still usable for sketches. I'm making them soft as possible because the model is small. The surface is still too uniform. I'm trying to make the stains with a highly diluted acrylic paint. I would instead call it dirty water than paint. I must learn to use acrylic paints more, because working with them is fun and clean. I found lovely picture of Israeli Sherman which has dust accumulated on the chassis. Good is to create base texture with acrylic resin and dry pigment. However, it was too smooth, so I sprinkled the resin with a dry pigment when the mix was still fresh. Now I can attach the tantracks. I tested the fitting before, so no worries. I forgot to design new Browning holder, however I can easily make it from LED wires and plastic profiles. Circle puncher is perfect tool for details and scratch building. I painted the reflector with a gloss black, which is suitable base for each chrome paint. I am cutting cover glass from thin clear plastic sheet. It is good to apply the template for a precise circle shape. I do not like how clean it is, so I think small crack can improve the overall look. I am creating accumulated dirt from exhaust. Try to dilute the paint with an adequate amount of thinner to achieve a smoother result. I made a lot of dust on the chassis, so I must make more dust on the rest of the surface also. I use again highly diluted acrylic paint, you know, dirty water. In my opinion, some scratches and stains are not smooth, considering the scale, therefore I'm using paint remover and only small amount of it. Otherwise, it can easily remove a paint on the base resin. Last but not least, a few final details. I cannot forget a cable for the reflector and antenna wire. I stretched old plastic sprue with a lighter. The result is thin, flexible fiber that can nicely hold its shape. I found in many pictures that the antenna wire was attached and bent with a rope. It was to reduce the height of it, so the enemy could not spot movement behind obstacles. At least, it is my theory. If I'm wrong, you can write me a comment. And with these details, I am done. I like how Israeli army modified this small medium tank into crazy deadly beast that can easily penetrate the most of tanks of its era and beyond. Okay then, I'm glad that I have this unique model in my collection, and I'm already looking forward to next project. Thank you for watching and for your support, and see you next time!